Well, you need someone to protect your interests. You need someone who's going to stand up for you, who's only interested in what you need, will protect you on the contract, which is the most important thing that you enter into. Make sure that the inspections are taken care of, making sure that all the surveys are done, the title searches are done. And then finally, when the mortgage comes out, to make sure that the mortgage protects you, that the papers are there so you know that what you're getting and what you're paying for, what your final responsibilities are. And out of everybody you're involved with, it's the only person who brings all those items together and makes sure everybody acts properly to protect your interests. The best thing to do is, if you're going to hire a lawyer from the beginning. Don't take the lawyer halfway through the process, because by that time a lot of things could be against you or are not protecting you. What I would say to you is, like most of my clients do, they will call me to say they're buying a house, indicate what they're paying. I indicate to them, get the name of the lawyer, especially for the seller. The lawyer for the seller will then send me a contract. I will then go through the contract. I'll sit down with you, make sure you understand, just like in your case, that you know what you're getting, what you're buying, whether you got tenants, whether you don't have tenants, whether there's oil tanks in the ground, whether there's asbestos, whatever problems you think might be there in the plus. I'll make sure that the contract takes into account 100% of everything you're buying. So in case the person's taking air conditioners out, you want to make sure you know that the air conditioners are coming out. The air conditioners or the light fixtures or whatever is supposed to stay in, they stay in. And then you know from that time on what you're getting. At the end, you'll know what you got. Well, there's always a lot of bad deals. From the time that if you don't have a contract that provides you for any inspection clauses, and it turns out that there's radon in the ground, which is a natural gas, or there's an oil tank in the ground, or that the home inspection indicates that the house is really falling apart and you had no idea what was happening. Those items are brought together by the different inspectors or people that you hired. It's determined that what has to be done or what can't be done, and some negotiation takes place. Same thing as when there's a title search that's done. We hire the title inspectors, make sure the title inspector checks to make sure that you will end up owning the property 100%. The survey, there's been many situations in which the survey shows that the property is not within the borders, that there's a common driveway that no one knew about, or somebody had an easement over your property. Just want to make sure that everything is cleared up, so when you end up with that deed and you move into the house, you know that's yours, and that the proper papers are filed to make sure that everything protects you 100%. What happens is everybody gets together. By that time, all the inspections are done, and hopefully all the negotiations are done with the seller as to what you're getting, what kind of credits you're getting. At the closing, you know what you're buying, whether there's tenants there or no tenants there, what your responsibilities are. All the documents are brought together. You then, at the closing, have the mortgage company, maybe a representative, maybe not. In New Jersey, a lot of mortgage companies don't send their representatives, or banks. And the lawyer will go through each and every document with you for probably takes at least a good hour. Make sure you understand everything, and make sure you understand what you're signing, what your responsibilities are. And at the end, make sure all the numbers are correct. In other words, so to the penny, you know exactly what it's costing you and what you're getting. At the end, you walk out with a keychain, with a deed, you're happy, and you go your same way. The lawyer will then follow up and make sure that everything is filed, everything is done. There's nobody's going to come claiming they own the property. There's no one's going to show up and say that my wife wasn't there, didn't sign the papers on behalf of the seller. You're done, you're finished, and you have a happy life in your new home.
The correct term of a definition for a mortgage is a method of using property as security for payment of a debt. Well, I think the mortgage broker should be the first individual you see. The reason why is you do not want to go look for $1 million house if you could only afford a $250,000 house. So you want to go sit down with the mortgage broker, explain to him what your goals and what you're trying to do, and he's basically going to tell you what type of house you could afford. So that's why that should be the first thing you should do, because it doesn't make no sense to go look at $1 million house when your target market is $250,000. Number one, you should bring proof of ID. So the broker would know the person he's talking to is actually the person that's applying for the mortgage. Second is the W-2. The W-2 states how much you earned the previous year. So you'll bring at least two W-2s for the past 2 years. You're going to need a bank statement showing what type of down payment you're working with. You're going to need 2 recent pay stubs to verify that you're currently working and it reflects how much you earned. And also your social security number you could give to the broker, and he'll be able to print out a credit history, because the most important thing is your FICO score, and that's how we're going to find your credit worthiness. A mortgage broker is the middleman. He will assist you in preparing what you need to present to the lender. So basically, he's going to put your whole application together, make sure you have all your paperwork in order, your W-2s, your pay stubs, your bank statements, your source of funds, etc. So he can make the loan process smooth. Well, again, a mortgage broker is the middleman. It is the individual between you and the bank. And basically, he's going to use his expertise to put you in the best light for you to get that mortgage. An adjustable mortgage is only fixed for a specific period of time. There's a 2-arm, a 3-arm, and a 5-arm. Basically, your interest rate is fixed for 2 years, 3 years, or 5 years, versus a fixed mortgage that it's fixed for the life of the loan. And the loans are usually 15 years, 30 years, or 40 years. But basically, the interest rate is fixed for the life of the loan. It's not going to change on you. If you have a fixed rate and your mortgage payment is $2,000, your principal and interest will remain the same for the life of the loan, because you have a fixed rate. But if you have an adjustable, it's only going to be fixed for that period. So if you have a 2-year arm, that $2,000 is going to be fixed just for the 2 years. And if interest rate goes up, your monthly payment will also go up. So it will affect you in a negative way. If interest rates go down, it'll benefit you after the 2 years. But again, after 2 years, after the adjustable period is over, after the fixed period is over, it will go up or down. That's a major difference. Fixed, you know your payment for the life of the loan. Adjustable, after that period, the interest rate could go up or down, which will affect your mortgage payment. Equity is basically the net worth of your net worth in that house. I'm going to give you an example. If the house is worth $300,000 and you owe the bank $200,000, your equity, your net worth is only $100,000. So that's the amount of appreciation that you have in the house. So you have $100,000 worth of equity. That's why it's so important for young people, people of color, to purchase houses, because that's basically how you could obtain net worth. And there's so many things you could do with the equity that you have in your house. If you're paying all these credit card bills and you're paying 20% interest rate on those credit card bills, those interest, the interest that you're paying on those credit card bills are not even tax deductible. You could pull the equity out of your house, pay off all your debt, or in your case, if you need a car, you could purchase a car, etc., using the equity out of your house, and then you could make that interest that you're paying back tax deductible. Refinancing is when you go through the process again for a specific reason. Let me give you an example. If you have a 2-year arm and after 2 years the rate are going to start climbing up, so you already know that. So what you're going to do is refinance, basically go through the process again and get a fixed rate or pull money out of your house, whatever you want to do. But basically refinancing is going through the process over again. Well, in a perfect world, what you would need is basically 20% of what you're purchasing the house for. So if it's a $100,000 house you're going to buy, you need at least $20,000. That's the rule of thumb. But there's other ways you could obtain a property for less than that. basically working off your credit worthiness. A person should need at least 3 months of reserves, seasoned reserves, meaning the funds were in your is in your bank account for at least 60 days. So if your mortgage payment is going to be $2,000, the bank would like to see at least 3 months worth of reserves. So if your monthly payment is $2,000, they're going to want to see $6,000 in your bank account for at least 60 days.
A realtor is going to provide you with three things I think that you really need. Number one, representation. In the real estate world, basically, realtors have access to information about all the properties that are available. When you look in the newspaper, you're not going to see every single house that's for sale or every single house that's available. You're going to see a small portion of them, but a realtor will be able to access the database that's available to realtors to see everything that's available in the market, of course, except for the for sale by owners, which will be listed in the newspaper. So a realtor is going to have access to information. A realtor is going to be able to represent you because they have knowledge of real estate and the laws and the things to look for, things to avoid, market values, information about the areas that you're looking in. These are things that we do every day, whereas you may, a lot of times a home buyer will look at a property and make an emotional, what I say is an emotional decision. They like the house or the house looks nice. That's only part of a real estate transaction. As a realtor, when I represent my client, I want to present them with the whole picture. Not only do they like the house, not only is the house nice, but is the house a good investment? Is the neighborhood the type of neighborhood they want to live in? Is this something that they're going to be able to make money on down the line, or realize appreciation, things like that. Realtors are supposed to, provide that for you. So I think one thing that I try to remind myself anyway is that I'm not a real estate salesperson. I'm a real estate professional. Okay, and there is a difference. When you're looking for a realtor, you want a real estate professional, someone who is not going to just sell you any and everything, someone who's going to show you the benefits of buying a property, someone who's going to take the time to make sure that it is a good investment for you. Okay, because people come to me all the time and they want to buy a property, but if I don't think that property is a good investment, I will let you know. I'm not going to just say, okay, great, you want to buy this property, let me get my commission, here you go. I'm going to go through, the checklist that I go through in my mind. Are they going to be able to realize appreciation on this property? Is this property going to be a good investment for them down the line? How long is it going to take them before they would be able to resell the property and make enough profit to invest in something else? Those are the kinds of things that I would think about. Is there deferred maintenance? Are there things that are going to need to be, repaired in the property? What are the schools like if they have children? Those are all the kinds of things that a realtor should do for you. MLS stands for Multiple Listing Service, and the MLS is basically a huge database that every licensed realtor has access to. When you have a property that you are selling for someone as a realtor, the first thing you do is list that property in the multiple listing service. What that does is let every other realtor in that area, in the state where, whatever area you're in, know that that property is available for sale. And there will be some key information listed on that listing: description of the property, a photo, tax information, information about the features in the home, information about the price, obviously, and the terms and what you need to do to see the property. And for realtors, that's the backbone of our business. When someone comes to us and they're looking for a property, the first thing we do is go into the MLS and see what's available, see what meets their criteria. And that's how we, come up with potential properties to show people. That is probably one of the biggest benefits to having a realtor as far as selling a property, and also with buying. If you're relying solely, like I said, on looking in the newspaper, you may look at 5 properties, whereas there may be 15 that would meet your criteria if you go to the realtor and have us search the MLS. I'm going to be honest with you, I don't see any cons. I'll tell you that right now, and I'll tell you why. The only con I would say there could be, like I said, is if you happen to end up with a real estate salesperson who is not taking the time to give you the information that you need. Okay, and how would you find that out? When you go to a realtor and you are looking for a property, you need to have some idea of what your goals are, what things are important to you. If you're looking for a property that you're going to live in, then you need to have a list of the most important features for you. Do you want to have a great school district for your children? Do you want a property that you can get some sweat equity? And sweat equity is something that basically, if you're handy and you can make some minor repairs, you may buy a property that has need of some minor repairs, but for doing those repairs, you may increase the value of your property by $40,000 or $50,000 in a year or two. That's called sweat equity, because you're doing the work to get that equity quickly. You need to know what your needs are, and you need to make sure that the realtor is giving you the information that you need to meet those goals. Okay, if you find a property, or the realtor presents you with a property that you're interested in, you want to make sure that you also get information about the value of other properties in that area. That's going to be a key factor in whether or not your property is going to be a good investment. You don't want to pay $250,000 for a property where the other properties are selling for $200,000, unless there are some unique features to that property that you want to have. Okay, so you want to do that, but the pros are, again, just related to what I stated earlier, that you're going to have access to a lot more information, okay, and you want to utilize that. You want to ask questions. Don't just, have the realtor present you with something and then you're just like, okay. If the realtor's telling you this house is great, say, why? Tell me what makes this house great. Do you have information about the value of the other properties in my area? Can you give me some information about how much appreciation you think I'm going to get? How much do you think my house is going to increase in value over time? Are we looking at, $10,000 in 5 years or $50,000? This is stuff that you want to try to get information about up front. So I really don't see a time where there's ever a con, because if you're the buyer, okay, definitely if you are the buyer, you should always have a realtor, because you are basically getting representation for free, because the seller is paying the fee. So there's no reason for a buyer not to be represented by a realtor, because you're not putting any money out of pocket, except in some very unique cases where maybe it's a property that's for sale by owner. In that case, you would have to pay for the realtor yourself if you want to be represented, and you can do that, or you can get an attorney, either or. And if you're the seller, I feel that you should definitely have a realtor also, because now your property is going to get much more exposure. The chances of selling faster and having more potential buyers increases tremendously once you have a realtor representing you. So, yeah, most of the time as a realtor, if a client comes to me, that is the first thing that we would want to do, is get them pre-qualified if they are not. Now, I'm in a unique position because I am also still licensed to do mortgage loans, so I can either take care of that process, myself, or if the client comes to me and they've already, gotten that done, no problem. I'll work with the person that they're already working with. But it's very important that we do that, because obviously, you don't want to start taking somebody out to see 20 or 30 properties and then come to find out, hey, they're not even qualified to get any financing, and won't be able to do anything until they are actually able to get qualified. Most of the time, when you get to the point where you're ready to submit an offer for a property, that offer has to be accompanied with a pre-qualification letter. So it is very important, and we normally will do that before we actually start showing houses, or working with the client. The real estate industry is really moving in a new direction. That was one of the main reasons why I joined World Properties International. It's because our company is set up so that we can do and can handle the real estate transaction, and we can also handle the mortgage transaction. That makes everybody's life a lot easier because you're going to one person. That one person can handle both sides of the transaction. So in that case, you're not going to one first and one second. But if that's not the case for you, then you would want to get pre-qualified first. A lot of realtors do have relationships with mortgage companies, with mortgage brokers. So even if you don't have someone that you're working with, if you contact your real estate agent, then they're going to refer you to someone who can get you pre-qualified. And of course, if you go to World Properties International, wherever you are, because we're nationwide, then they'll be able to handle the whole transaction for you from start to finish. Credit is king. That's all I can tell you. And speaking from experience, like I said, I'm an investor myself, not only familiar with mortgages and real estate, but buy and sell properties myself all the time. And my credit was not always perfect. It was not always the way that it is now. I know firsthand how it is to repair your credit. I filed bankruptcy in 1996, and took me about 2 years to rebuild my credit and to get my credit to the point where I would be considered an A-tiered borrower. Credit is basically has two pieces. You have a credit score from each of the 3 credit bureaus. You have TransUnion, you have Equifax, you have Experian. These are national, privately owned companies that basically compile your credit data. And when lenders pull your credit, they are getting a credit profile from each 3 of those agencies. And each one of them issues a computer-generated credit score for you that is based on a model that none of us really knows precisely, but we know a lot about that model. We know a lot about what you can do to increase your credit score and what things you can do to make it get lower. The credit score is a huge piece with lenders. Mostly all the loan programs have minimum credit score requirements, okay? But the underlying factor will be your credit practices is what influences that score. So there's certain things that you can do to make it higher, and there's things that you can do that will make it lower. But credit is the most important thing as far as getting pre-qualified for a loan. And a lot of people don't understand, I think, some things. Some people think if they have no credit, that's good. That's not good. If you have no credit, that's just as bad as having credit and not paying it on time. So if you're a person who pays cash for everything and you're patting yourself on the back saying how great it is that you don't owe anybody, that's not good for you when you are ready to buy real estate, because now lenders don't have anything to look at to show them that you are responsible, that you know how to manage credit. If they have a lot of credit cards, a lot of credit accounts that are maxed out, okay, they've used the maximum amount that they can on those accounts, but they're paying those accounts on time. They don't have any late payments. They think they have good credit. And in actuality, the fact that the balance is maxed out, it drops your credit score, okay, because the model is just set up that way. They consider you to be a riskier borrower because your credit limits are maxed out, okay. Another, I guess, thing that some people will do a lot is they'll make slow pays. They have a lot of accounts, but they'll send their payments in, obviously over 30 days late. That right there will put you into like a C tier. Okay, that basically will guarantee you a higher interest rate loan and more money down. Okay, so what you want to do to put yourself in the best possible position is have a few accounts open that you don't use to the maximum capacity. You want to keep it at 50% or less and pay them on time. If you do those things with 3 accounts for 2 years, you will be an A credit borrower. It's just as simple as that. When you are looking to purchase a property for investment, there's some key things that you need to look at even more so than when you're buying a property to live in, because this is an investment for you. The key word is investment. Okay, so you want to make sure that you're getting some benefit from it. And basically you have, I would say, three types of real estate investments. Okay, if you're going to buy a rental property, you're going to be a landlord. In New Jersey, where we are anyway, that is definitely going to be a long-term investment for you. You may get a property that you don't have a lot of cash flow coming in from, but your goal may be that your tenant is basically going to pay for that property for you in 15 years or more. Something like that, what you want to look for, or what the realtor wants to look for you for that, is a property that's going to appreciate, obviously over time, and a property in a stable area that you won't have a lot of fluctuation in the value. But as a realtor, like I said, when someone comes to me for an investment, the first thing I want to do is ask them what their goals are. If they have long-term goals, then I'm going to gear them towards a long-term investment, which would most likely be a rental property. Okay, if they want some cash flow, okay, which basically is the difference between their monthly expenses that they're going to have to put out for the property versus the money that they're collecting in rental income for the property. If they want cash flow, then I'm going to have to give them information about that up front. I'm going to look for properties that meet their minimum requirements for how much money they want to have left over as disposable income each month. If an investor, wants to have some cash flow, which most do, okay, most investors do, then I have to be able to calculate how much they're going to have left over. Now that's why you have to get pre-qualified. I need to know what their mortgage rate is going to be, so that I can calculate what their monthly expense will be on this property, which would be their mortgage, their taxes and insurance. I have to calculate that up front so that I can compare that to how much rental income is coming in. And in my market, most of the time, to really have a significant amount of cash flow, you're talking about a multi-family property, which means, 2-family, 3-family, or 4-family property. Those typically will give you a little more cash flow than a single family will in this area. That may not be everywhere, but generally speaking, it tends to be the case. The more units you have in the property, the more cash flow you're going to be left over with each month. And the other type of investment would be what we call the flip, which is a property that is in need of renovation, that you can buy below market value, that you can renovate and then resell for a profit. And all of those types of investments require a professional who knows what they're doing. Okay, you would not believe how many times someone wants to buy an investment property. They go to a realtor. The realtor really does not specialize in investment properties and really does not know how to get them information on those things. And they'll put them into a single family property with $100 or $150 disposable income, which disappears the second there's one maintenance item that has to be done on this property. And this investment is no longer really an investment for this person. They're not really getting any benefit. Sometimes they'll steer them towards a property that's too expensive for them to really make any cash flow. And that, like I said, that'll happen if you go to a salesperson instead of a professional. Okay, you don't want to buy a property that your mortgage is going to be $2,000 a month and you're collecting $2,000 a month in rental income. That's a problem that's waiting to happen unless there's some other factors involved, i.e. unless you got it significantly below market and you're only planning to keep it for a year. And you know that after a year you're going to be able to sell it and make $50,000. That's a different transaction at that point. Now you're not interested in cash flow. But my point, I guess, is mostly know your goals going in and make sure that you get all the information that you need to reach your goals. From the very beginning. A lot of times, my customer or my client will come to me and they will be surprised because they may be interested in a property and I will actually tell them, no, that's not gonna work. That property is not the property for you. And there may not be a property available right now that's going to really serve their needs. So I just keep looking until I find one. I'm not just going to put them into something because that's all that's available if it's not going to meet their criteria, because most people don't come to me knowing what they are looking for. They just know, well, I'm interested in buying a rental property. What should I look for? And then I have to talk to them some more and find out what their goals are. How much money are they looking to make on this property each month? How long do they want to keep this property? Is it something they're going to, keep for a few years, or something they're going to keep for 10 years? Once you know that going in, it's pretty easy. I mean, just myself personally, I can tell you, when I started getting rental properties, I had a real specific plan. So I went in, I said, I want these rental properties to be able to pay my daughter's way through college. That was why I purchased those rental properties. My daughter, when I purchased them, I think she was maybe 7 years old, something like that. I was looking at a 10-year payoff plan. In 10 years, I wanted those properties to be paid off so that my daughter could step into my shoes or put a management company in my shoes and collect $10,000 a month in rentals and pay her way through college. Real simple plan, real simple goal. But because I knew that going in, it was very easy for me to purchase properties that would meet that goal. So if I wanted a property that was going to be paid off in 10 years, I had a certain range. Basically, I wasn't looking to get expensive properties. I was looking for lower price properties, that I could pay extra on to get it paid off in 10 years without stretching over the amount that I'm collecting for rent. So I'm basically using that rental income to pay these properties off faster so that when my daughter reaches her 18th birthday, she can step into $10,000 a month of income without having to do anything except be the landlord or pay somebody else to do it. Why did I do that? Because I don't know if I'm going to have $200,000 cash sitting around to pay her way through school, and I don't want to worry about it. I wanted to make sure that if everything else failed and I had nothing, this was covered. So, that plan has been underway. It's on track. It's not going to be a problem. When she's ready to go to school, if she does, I will know that money can pay her way through school without a problem. So if you come into real estate with a goal, with a plan, it's very simple to reach it. You just have to know what it is you're trying to get out of it from the beginning.
Whatever you want to do, you have to think of it first, man. Like, I'm a dreamer. Like, before, anytime I had visions or wanted to do something big, I already always imagined myself on Oprah. Like, I already had the interview with Oprah. I always had an interview with this person. And you know what I'm saying? It's just like you have to put yourself in that situation. When I wanted a new car, I was driving my Neon around and I had a little pep in my step like, yo, this is my new joint. And people were looking at me. I was like, yo, why are people looking at me while I'm driving for? But it's just like you have to put yourself in that situation. Like, how are you going to become rich? Or how are you going to become a real estate mogul? Or how are you going to become a singer if you don't put yourself in that situation? You have to imagine it. And once you put yourself in that situation, then you start thinking like that and you become persistent. You know what I'm saying? You start doing stuff. Just like when I was focused on buying my house or whatever, I had to visually put cue cards in my house. I'm gonna buy a multi-family house. I'm gonna have goals, like this is what I want to do for this year, and I had to visually see it. I had to say it. I had to read it, and I did that on a constant basis, and I was just working towards my goal. You have to set a plan and work towards those goals. That's it. You have to put a plan, and then the most important thing that most of us don't do, you have to act on your plan and be persistent about that plan so you can make stuff happen. And that's what I did. It's just like, yo, I want to buy a house, multi-family. I want to be a good person. I want to be that. I want to hook up my boys, and everything that you put into thoughts, like I said before, your thoughts are energy, and like it could be positive or negative, and if you put positive thought out there, positive things are gonna happen. You put negative thoughts out there, just be prepared for the karma. You know what I'm saying?
I was positive in the sense that I was driven by my goals, but in a sense, you have to have a good support group around you also. If your people are around you, and they're even if it's just emotional support, that's so essential for your being, because you can take care of your physical self, but when you run into a problem and someone comes along and they offer you a suggestion on how to fix that problem or how to resolve that problem, or just give you that emotional support to keep striving forward. Those types of things are essential, because the energy that you surround yourself with. If you surround yourself with good people, if you want to be a millionaire, you don't want to hang out on the corner. You want to hang out where millionaires hang out. You want to be a real estate entrepreneur. You want to hang out with people that do this or have done it, and you're able to absorb the lessons that they've learned, or the problems that they've run into, or the good things that they've run into, or even the people that they know by networking.
In order for me personally, my own personal observation, I didn't learn it anywhere. In order for you to become successful at anything that you want to do, you have to be positive. And by that I mean, when something happens to you, there's only two choices you can have. You can either react negatively or positively. Me personally, I choose to react positively, only because with positive thinking and positive people, you can go a lot further. One of the things that I started to develop as I got older was I started to realize that maybe I might be looking for the wrong things, or maybe I might be defining a success in the incorrect way. It didn't really fit in my life because I wasn't used to those things in my life. I was used to strong relationships. I was used to good relationships and good friendships. And one day I remember I was in the gym, and I remember a good friend of mine who was there. Now this guy previously used to be on the street. He was a hustler. People knew his name for a certain type of behavior. And I saw him in the gym. And when I saw him this time, without him saying anything, I knew something had changed in him. The conversation that we had following was something that was on a totally different level than I was used to. Not only that, but I wasn't used to hearing that from him. You're talking about an individual who was captured by the streets, who was able to change his mind and actually go in a different direction. He went against the grain, and he showed you that he can be that individual and grow into another type of individual. Now, the spiritual content with which he spoke to me showed me, you know what? I was always concerned about reputation, and I realized that there are two things. You have your reputation. Reputation is determined by other people and how they perceive you, and you have your character. Your reputation is what you are when you're outside and other people are viewing. Your character is what you have when there's nobody else around. Some people try to be two people. They try to be one way in front of people and another way behind closed doors. And I realized that your character was much more important. I wanted to be the same way around other people as I was all the time. Behind closed doors, when I was by myself, when I was with my family, I wanted to be the same person. And I realized that it needed a little bit of a change. I started going back to church. I started reading the Bible. And what I realized is that I am a product of the people that I am around. A lot of my friends had started working and I didn't see them as often. So I started surrounding myself around positive individuals, mature individuals, spiritual individuals. And that's what helped me to do stuff like clear my financial debt, because I didn't see materialistic things as content that was required in my life. I saw success, which is not so much related to material pleasures and desires. I saw that my spiritual content was more important to me, because as I started to change inside, other people started to receive me in a different way. Success at my job started to elevate. I started to see different results when I went to the gym. My health started getting better. And I realized as I developed spiritually and mentally, and as these things developed in my life, that I became a different person. I began to change. Not changes in I was one person one day and another person the next, but changes in growth. I was growing into a much more mature and seasoned individual.
I always wanted to, my long-term goal was always to stay fit. And I knew the key to that is always, working out early in the morning. I think, sometimes some people they try to work out when they get off work at 5 or 6 o'clock or 8 or 9 o'clock. But to me, the key for me is to work out early in the morning. That way, you get that energy boost in the morning.
is your theme music?
Yo, might be kind of corny, but it's Rocky. I run to Rocky music.
Word.
Yeah, man. I run to 2 songs, Hearts on Fire and There's No Easy Way Out. I hear those 2 songs and shit, I can run from here to eternity when I hear those 2 songs, or it just amp me up or whatever. Just the words amps me up.
Jim, how long you had this gym for, man?
Well, I've been in business for 6 years. We just moved here 2 years ago from Fulton in Hampstead. We just moved to West Hampstead about 2 years ago.
As you can see, it's 4:45 a.m. All right. Ever since I started buying real estate, changing my life, bought a new whip, I have to be disciplined and change the way I eat, change myself. You know what I'm saying? I put all this effort and time in trying to make money and do right. What is it if you ain't got no health? What is it if you don't live long to see fruits of your labor? Good. Trying to get rid of ain't no big gun, man. Where P. Diddy at? P. Diddy run the city, right?
The hard work you do here, right? Check it out. You learn goal setting, short term, long term. You learn how to set a goal and acquire what it takes to achieve it. You learn the initiative to drive, to take more. I gotta drive harder. This is the same, this is a small microcosm of the world. Now check it out. You go outside, you wanna acquire a home. It takes the same things you use in here to get that home, to get that car. This is how deep this is, and people don't even realize it.
One thing is like, all right, like say what Brother Lane doing right now. That's one way. See, because once you show that you came from nothing and you made your own, you paved your own way, then these kids will look at the same thing and say, well, wow, man, he did it, and he ain't had no money. Yeah. His parents didn't help him do that. He made himself go through school and stuff. Hey, right there's a start. Because see, you don't know how many people that's going to touch.
The gym is an investment. It's an investment in health.
Of course.
It's the best investment you will ever make in your life. People invest in, check it out, gold chains, spree wells, homes.
Stuff that mean
their
nothing.
Kids.
I know.
It's not, some of it means something. But the most important investment is the investment in you.
Of course.
So if you take care of you, if you do this, you build on your health. And to build your health is the best investment you ever make, because anything you want to do, you can do it.
So, just a little break for the seal.
So that's recording the whole time.
No, it wasn't. I just turned it on.
Testing, mic check, say something, anything, Jay.
Mic check, this is Jared. I want all the girls to shake your money, make it like somebody about to pay you. I know.
And I got mine.
Oh, you know what? Take the 2 figure.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's no problem.
That's supposed to happen.
Yeah.
Change your mind. Change your life. Change your mind. Change your life.
Yeah, we doing it, dog. We doing it. Right.
Yo, not for nothing. That realtor ain't bad. She is okay with me.
All right. Now I'm warmed up, y'all. I feel a little bit better, you know what I'm saying? After my 5th drink, so I'm just like, I didn't even drink at all. And that's good, I ain't even drink. You know, some people, they be drinking and then, you know, oh, let me loosen up and stuff like that.
Même vous faites quoi? Bruit en bas. Oui, même toi, tu vas écraser. Ding, 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 ding.
You know, so what we did was like, yo, Mom was coming together. I had $1,200 worth of bills. My mother had $1,200, more than that, like 20. Who that? So I just knew the power.
Cause y'all mother wasn't for you. Mm-hmm.
Do it a couple times.
Stomach is all growling.
Oh yeah, man. Ain't gonna
Like, change your mind.
Change your mind.
Change. Change.
Get a good plan and doing all this stuff, getting real estate, getting money or whatever. Because really, honestly, honest to God, man, it's for women.
Right.
Man, I want to get me a dope. I want to get me a dope wife, man. I want her to be banging. I want to.
Right, but you know what? You're doing this too for your family.
No, I'm doing it. Oh no, don't forget, I'm doing it for my family.
I mean, I think dating's harder than buying a house. You know what I'm saying? Dating's real hard. Like to buy a house, I'd rather buy 10 houses. And like to find that perfect one is just so hard. And you know what it is? It's just like we just put so much stuff on a person, and we don't look for what the person is. Like like if the person's good, we have this perfect image, or we paint this perfect picture of this person, and it's just like none of us settle for less. We have this drive to meet this certain person, and like we don't meet them. We rather be single, where good people come in your life, and they play a keep part in your life. Like I'm trying to get better with that, but like the girl situation is just saying, man. Like
I've been in some really good relationships, man. Love's been really good to me, shit. So I don't want to. And each time out the box, I make good decisions and a better decision. And the process is just finding that person that's gonna stick with you through thick and thin. You can always find a person that's gonna stick with you when the sun's shining, man. It's that person that's gonna stick with you when it starts to rain and goes and gets you an umbrella so you don't give. You know what I'm saying?
Wet, right?
It's like like New Edition. Can you stand the rain? Really. I mean, when it comes down to everybody loves the sunshine, man.
Waiting for that dime piece to come into my life.
Yeah. Oh, I found one at the club last night. Word up. She was a hottie. We'll see what happens. Pray for me.
I'm waiting for mine. I'm still waiting for mine.
Right.
Where are you?
Right.
Are you out there? I'm waiting. I'll be good to you.
Right.
I'll be real good to you.
Like, I wash your feet.
I cook for you. Wash your feet.
Back rubs every day. Let me find a girl that makes more money than me. Please make more money than me.
I be Mr. Mom and shit, man.
Word up. I will take care of you and the kids. The daddy daycare. For real. That's funny.
I'll be Mr. Mom.
Somehow you have to have a balance of separate lives and lives together. You know what I mean? And and just be there and support each other.
I used to, just say, oh, she's got to be financially independent. She's got to be spiritually focused, and she's got to, she's got to come with all these tools and resources. Honestly, I realized that if I work on who I am, I'll attract exactly the type of partner that I need to be with me. So that means if I keep myself physically fit, if I keep myself financially stable, if I keep myself spiritually focused, the way that I do that is surrounding myself by people who are of like minds. I'm going to find exactly the type of partner that I'm looking for. But if I start to describe it, then it's going to set limitations on what I'm looking for. So, I know that by me working on me, I'm going to attract exactly the type of partner that I need, for me to have a successful relationship. So I'm working on me right now. That's most important. All I do is if I stay spiritually focused, I know that the person that's built for me will eventually come into my life. So I don't have a definition for that.
Ram just put us all to shame, Jared. Saying our morals and values are all twisted.
It takes all kind to make the world go round, baby. Yeah. It takes all kind to make the world go round. We in the studio right now, man. Laying this stuff down, man. We in the makeshift studio, just laying stuff down, man. Putting everything together.
We got to do everything ourselves. I'm at my mom's house. We're in one of her bedrooms. Lights, you can check it. You can pan to the right, Jay, pan to the left. Lights, cameras, action.
All right, Mr. Washington. So,
Now, I'm just asking you a question. Why do you need a real estate lawyer? What's going on, everyone? This is Lane. You're in the lab. Basically, we're at my crib, and what we did, instead of going to a post-production house or, go try to let someone else, take all this footage out of house, we did everything in-house ourselves. So basically, we shot everything, over 90 to close to 100 hours worth of footage.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, so I'm just showing, Ant behind the scenes.
Just looking at some of the footage right here. Looks good. It's coming together. Coming to you from Needle in the Haystack Productions in association with Change Your Mind, Change Your Life.
Look, another one bites the dust, another one down. Phil, what's going on? This is behind the scenes stuff.
Okay, what's up?
He did the refinance for me, he always helping, and he's a certified accountant too.
That's correct. I'm his tax accountant, and I got involved in the mortgage business with your mortgage.
What's going on? I'm Ralph. I'm actually Ghislaine's web designer, trying to bank stuff out here. This is for the company that I'm working for now. The emo stuff.
Yeah.
Some web pages.
Can you just state your name and your real estate background? Right, and you know what I want to say too? I was like, you know what? If the video may not be the best shot video. It's not supposed to be that. It's the content that's what's inside the video that's supposed to enlighten people.
This is my dad. Damn, man.
Did you see Change Your Mind, Change Your Life, and I kind of wrote out a generalization of the scenes. And my boy Larry Stewart, I basically just told him to I gave him a little scenario, or this is where we partied and all that, and he just ad-libbed everything on himself. He just did everything ad-libbed from his head. So I called my man James Earl Jones, and his rates were kind of outrageous with the voiceover thing. So I was I called Jared and them we couldn't get James Earl Jones, so we had to do everything ourselves.
Isn't a race. It's a journey.
What we're trying to do, and what I'm trying to do, is take a book and put a visual aid to that book. I'm taking a book and put it into video. That's what I'm trying to do.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? This is Franco Clark, President and CEO, Aim High Productions. I'm just here going over Ghislaine's bonus footage, and just basically my thing is I just try to show Ghislaine or help Ghislaine try to get rid of that unbiased eye, because I know Ghislaine has a lot of personal footage here, and he's holds it real close to him, so he wants to pack everything on it. So I'm kind of like the dude who just tells Ghislaine, listen, you might want to take this out or take that out.
My name is Clarence Hines. I'm the art director on this project. I'm handling all the print graphics.
Clarence Hines is just a master graphic artist designer.
You can do a lot of stuff on your own, man, but when people are actually behind you and believe in you and pushing you, you can go a lot further.
Yeah, right now we're just doing the sit downs with me, the host.